Okay, hello. Here I am back online here. So let us see if this works. Apologies for the false start. Please, I hope you will join. Those of you that I had to disconnect with, I apologize, but come online and then hopefully I can see your comments this time because, technology is giving me a hard time. So let's get everybody's come back online. I hope you're all there. Let's see, there we go. Hello. All right, so if you're there, just send me a comment so I can see that that's now working. I think we're working properly now again. So welcome to what I was saying. It is working now. Yeah, thank you, Taryn. It's so funny. Technology. There we go. Good evening. Hello. Nice to connect with all of you. This is one of my favorite times of the week, is to connect with everybody. Like I was saying on the previous video before we got rudely, I had to rudely end it because of now you can see me and now you can hear me and I can see you and hear you or see your comments. We're all fine again. Is to check in as to whether you'd like me to do some special broadcast readings about specific topics. So we would pick a specific topics, be it abundance, be it relationships, be it health, be it purpose, be it spiritual retrieval, be it whatever, money, career, whatever it is, and do specific readings as opposed to general readings. So if that appeals to you, I'm not going to put the poll back on because that's just not working, but let me know in the comments if that appeals to you as something that you'd like me to do. All right, so we're going to connect in with my guides and get a message of what it is that we can expect this week. But before we do that, we'll start off with the crystal for the week. And I don't know, some of you might have seen my master classes that I've put forward this morning. So if you are a crystal lover and you've been working with crystals a little bit and wanting to deepen your knowledge, I'm running a special launch thing on a masterclass around crystals. So how you activate and program crystals, how you channel with crystals, how we use crystals for ascension processes, working with Lemurian crystals and Atlantean crystals and Isis points and channeling points and noticing all of these. So if you're interested in that, have a look on my page and there's some really cool stuff. But the crystal that's come forward this week to support us is carnelian. And this is a beautiful piece of carnelian that I have here. And carnelian is a wonderful crystal. If you see, it's got like a fiery energy to it. So the fire in carnelian is all about inspiring action. It's like it's time to get up and do some stuff, If there's one thing fire does, is it gets things moving, it gets things going. And that's what carnelian is about. It's about what do you need to do? So what have you been talking about that you're not acting on? And so taking action. And not the busyness action. There's a lot of busyness. Busyness is not necessarily action. The action we're talking about is it's inspired, it's intentional, it's got a sense of focus and deliberateness to it. And then we're activating our will and we're activating our decision to create and this is a very sort of primal energy. This is sort of it can even feel quite creative and quite even sensual or sexual in its energy, but it's this I'm going to make, I'm going to create, I'm going to do what it is I'm supposed to be doing, and it's everything's lined up with a level of intentional focus. So the carnelian comes forward and says, what do you need to pay attention to? What do you need to take action on? What do you need to start doing more about? Right, so let us connect with my guides, and what we're going to do is we'll call 3 cards, and this brings forward like a message that's available for everybody this week. Think of it like a general message or weather reports, and it supports the current energy. We had the most magnificent full moon last week, the last supermoon, and it's the last supermoon of this year. We've had 3, and that really has supercharged, like the stuff that needed to be let go of, it needed to be faced and dealt with. And we've had solar flares coming at the same time, and Mercury retrograde, Mercury poor, gets blamed for everything. And this all has created a space, like a vortex for new and a vortex for possibility. And so energetically, we're in a place of ease now. Now, ease doesn't mean it's easy. Ease means don't fight. Yeah, and so it's easy if you stop fighting. So how you approach what's happening with ease is probably more important. Shaz, just have a look on my page, but or send me a message and I can send you the details of the Crystal Masterclasses. Right, so We've got three cards that we picked from the guys. The first one is, what do we need to pay attention to this week? This is kind of like a card that's always about wake up a little. You know, we spend a lot of our life unconscious. The next card is about what support is available. We don't need to be doing things alone. So what is on offer in terms of support? And the third card is what opportunities exist this week. You know, what is being thrown in as a possibility. So the first card that comes up, what do we need to pay attention to this week? And the card that's come up is an acceptance card. And so it's in the suit of acceptance, which is in the seed of life suits, and it's allow your life to unfold. And the key word here is allow. Yeah. The way my guide comes forward, she says, if we just pause in and drop into this word allow, it's such an interesting energy. So allowance is a very open energy. It's not an energy, so when we're talking about the carnelian, we're talking about taking action. But sometimes it's about allowing yourself to do what you need to do, allowing yourself to receive what you need to receive, allowing yourself to say yes, or allowing yourself to participate, allowing yourself. And so in order to allow ourselves to do things, there's a certain amount of permission. And permission is like an internal structure we've got. The things we're allowed to do and not allowed to do are really curious structures within our own psyche. Each of us have, you know, there'll be some people walk around and go like, oh, you can't go out without makeup on. That's not allowed. It's bad. You know, who says? You know? And we all have these rules and these structures within ourselves about what is allowed and what is not allowed. And when we can start to understand that we may have created rules for ourselves that came from preconceived ideas or from times and spaces where it may no longer serve us. And so allowance is a sort of sense of softening. It's a permission. You're allowed to have a break. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to dance. You're allowed to wear whatever you want to wear. You're allowed to say what you want to say. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to change. Yeah, and so this sense of allowance is almost like it's like giving ourselves a pass of saying like, okay, what if I did that? What if I was allowed to? Yeah, so that I don't hold myself contained in rules that may not be serving me very well. And there may be some rules that do serve you well, but there may be some rules that are no longer serving you and keeping you quite trapped. So what are the sort of self-imposed or even externally imposed rules that you're living by that are holding you back from your life? And so when we allow ourselves to experience permission to live our life, allowing yourself to use your talents, express your gifts, find your truth, do what you're needing to do, allow yourself to act, allow yourself to love, allow yourself to ask. When we can start to embrace these energies, then we can start to open up the sort of doorways to possibility in our life. And so the thing that the guides are asking us to pay attention to is to sit and look at what is it we most would like to do, and what are the rules that we've put in place that are holding us back from doing it. And then you can simply ask yourself, what permission do I need? And it's always internal permission. Many of us walk around seeking external permission to do things, but the reality is living your life is coming from an internal place. So what is it, the permission that you need to give? For people pleasers, it's sometimes a permission to disappoint people. Yeah. So this is a beautiful way of noticing that the way you've constructed the walls of your self-imposed prison, and noticing what is it. And if you can ask yourself, what do I need to give myself permission for? And you can simply use those words, I give myself permission, and to notice what happens when you give yourself permission. Yeah? So that is, what do we need to pay attention to this week, is how are we holding ourselves back from allowing ourselves to be who we are and do what we need to do. So the card then comes forward as the card of what support is available for us this week. And I smile because I just love this stuff. I can't make it up. But the support that is available for us this week is fire the critic. Fire the critic. And isn't this a beautiful card, an amazing card? There's this guy standing here, and actually this isn't the final card. The final cards are coming, I think, this week, where the book's being written, but the cards are coming. But there's this guy standing, he's got a balloon, and the final card, this is a pretty beautiful pinkish reddish balloon. And there's this shadow critic. He's standing there with a pin, ready to pop the balloon. And isn't that what it feels like for many of us most of the time? Is we're so excited about doing something, or we're brimming with possibility, or we believe in something, or we want to do something. And there's this part of us that goes like, that'll never work. Who are you to do that? Who says it's okay? And this critic that lives inside of us is a voice that we've taken on to try and hold us in check. Often it's like a don't get too big for your boots kind of voice. It's you must remain humble, or you must, or it's and it very closely links to a level of self-doubt. And now we can see the beautiful relationship between the permission to break up with the rules that we have. This is the auditor of the rules, the critic in your mind. And so there's a lot to do with managing our relationship with our own mind. And the critic really serves its job. The way the guys come was, its job is to try and help us be safe and be appropriate and be, aware. But the reality is you are. You are. You are aware. You are awake. You are discerning. You don't need some auditor in your mind. You can trust yourself. You can trust your heart. You can trust that you are not here you're a beautiful divine being of light. And when you can trust your goodness and trust, your ability to navigate this, then you can change it. So if we think about firing the critic, we don't need to be mean and horrible, because we don't need to criticize the critic. We can love him or her or it, however you want to think about this critic. And so the way the guys are coming forward is they said, it's time to play with the critic. Imagine somebody criticizes you and it didn't impact you. Okay, thank you, that's your opinion. It's not my truth, it's your opinion. And so when the critic in our mind wants to do something, you can say, thank you. It's not my truth, but I appreciate your input. And in that way, it'll get bored. Because it'll have no purpose. So it's time to really, really engage with your own self-auditor, self-doubt. And one of the things, my male guide's coming forward and he says, the thing you can do as a healing process, if you like, is identify the critic. Notice the critic in your life, in your mind. Interestingly, you can notice how you feel it, how you hear it. Give it a name. Give it a persona. Is it like is it like a wizard, or is it like a teacher? Is it like a policeman? Is it like an auditor? Is it like a friend? What is it? Give it a name and then write it a letter. Thanking it for what it's been trying to do and telling it no longer needs to be as cool as it's been before. One of the things we need to understand, and this is something that comes forward in guidance quite significantly and a lot at the moment, is criticism is not a form of love. In the sort of physical world that we live in, there are many, many people who feel like the way they demonstrate love to others is to criticize them. Somebody should tell them. Somebody should tell them they can't sing. Somebody should tell them they can't do these things. Now, there's truth in this, is that if you love somebody, you can offer them feedback. You can give them a perspective, but you do not need to be critical. Criticism is not a form of love. It leaves a person feeling hollow and wounded and judged. And so look in your own relationships, in your own marriages and partnerships and friendships, in your own relationships with your children or your parents, and identify, how do I learn to give feedback rather than criticism? Criticism is an opinion, feedback's an observation. Criticism is trying to make you do things my way. Feedback's offering you something that you can do what you want to do with. And so criticism is not a form of love, and it certainly is not a form of self-love. It's a way of hurting your heart in a significant way. Right, so the card then comes forward in terms of what opportunity exists this week. And the opportunity that comes forward comes from, again, the acceptance suit. So both of these cards are from the acceptance suit. You can see it's the Seed of Life suit. And this is about perspective. What is small is big, and what is big is small. And to a large extent, that's what the cards have already been doing with this sort of sense of the rules and the criticism and the reading that we've been doing so far is about changing the way you navigate the world. Now, the first way to do this, they're saying, is that what would be, and we can come back to the carnelian here, what would be the smallest act you can take on a daily basis that's a demonstration of connection to your spirit or connection to your heart, or a sort of link to your purpose or your growth, whatever it is. It'll be an act of self-love or self-care. What would be the smallest thing that you can do on a daily basis that's an act of self-love? So maybe the smallest thing I can do on a daily basis is drink water. Or maybe the smallest thing I can do on a daily basis is get up 10 minutes earlier to meditate. Or maybe the greatest thing I can do is sleep 10 minutes in so that I can relax a bit more. What would be the smallest action you could take? Those tiny actions lead to miraculous changes in your life. And so being able to, we often want the big changes. We want, like, my world to be different. But it's the tiniest action that will lead to this monumental thing, because it's about a frequency, it's about attention, it's about energy. And so to sit down and if I'm giving myself permission to live my life, and I turn down the volume of the critic and say, okay, now what is it I can do? What's the action I can take? What's the smallest thing I can do? And I don't need to expect results, I just need to give myself permission to start somewhere. So what is it that you can start doing that would be a real indication to yourself of self-love and self-care? Right, so how beautiful is that? Let's move on to doing some readings. So if you're first time online here, welcome. You're lovely, and it's lovely to connect with every soul that connects on here, either tonight or if you listen later. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of your lives and your world. I'd love it if you share this with your friends and invite others to join us. That's always a lovely thing, so we can get more people to hear these beautiful messages of light. If you're new on here, then just ask for a reading. I get drawn intuitively to the people that the readings are going to be most supportive of the greatest good. So if I don't call your name, it doesn't mean that you're not loved or you're not seen. It just means that there may already be a message that is valuable for you through this. So I also don't go back and look, I don't scroll up. I really just see what's coming up. So just keep asking if you're wanting to. Right, Jenny van Deventer, let us start with you tonight. Jenny van Deventer, hi Taryn. Please can I have a reading from my guides? Yes, Jenny, you can have a reading from your guides. So let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. All right. Oh, I love this card. It makes me very happy. The card that's come forward is a card from the Suits of Love, and it's called Return to Innocence. Return to Innocence. And just take a minute and look at the sheer joy, the sheer beauty of this child. And look at her looking up, like looking up in wonder. There's like this gaze of awe, of appreciation. And so when we notice this, like it's a very open stance. It's like, wow. And so the sense of awe that comes from innocence is like there's magic in the world. You know, you can just really imagine as a little girl, like somebody pulling a flower out and like, oh, there's a flower, or something happens and like, oh, there's like a sense of magic and appreciation. And as we grow up, we learn to stifle that. We learn to like, oh, thank you. We learn to be polite. And there's nothing wrong with being polite, but when polite is a guard against joy, against the, this absolute expression, we can see this. You go out to a comedy, or you go out and everybody's so trying to be polite, and we just need to play a little bit more and appreciate what life is offering. And so the way your guides come forward, Jenny, is it's like looking around your life now and going like, oh, look at that. Look at my home. Look at what's going on. Look at all the beautiful stuff. If stuff's important to you, look at the people. The blue sky. It's a sense of like the universe is offering beauty every minute of every day, and just to step and go like, oh, thank you. Wow, oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's great. And just when you do that, you can feel your heart open. It's like an opening, yeah. And it's like a permission thing to break through the reservedness and to just be more exuberant with the appreciation you have. If not to the external world, then certainly to yourself. One of the things when I do working with the law of abundance and healing your relationship with money course is we talk a lot about prayer as a concept of talking to the divine. And when we say, please, can I, please, can I, please, can I, it doesn't serve us because the energy is one of lack. But when I go, thank you, thank you, thank you, and anything to the power of 3 has got an amplified energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what's on offer. Thank you, thank you, thank you for these gifts. Thank you, thank you, thank you for my challenges. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It really is talking to this innocent energy of appreciation, of like opening up to receive all that's available to you. So there you have it, Jenny. I hope that resonates for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for asking for a card, yeah? So let us see who's next here. Okay. Taryn Volmer, you got a nice name. All right, Taryn, kindred spirits. Let's see what your guides would like to tell you tonight, Taryn. Okie dokie. As I was saying earlier, if you weren't here, I was asking how you guys would feel if I start doing special broadcasts of readings around specific topics. So it would be readings where you can come online and can get a reading, but it would be about something. So it'd be about relationships, or about abundance, or about health, or about whatever. So we would come up purpose or spiritual connection, or about your sense of karma, whatever it is. So if that is something that you would like, please let me know in the comments section so that I can get a sense of whether that would appeal to you. All right, Taryn, the card that's come forward for you is Let Your Light Shine. Let your light shine. So let me just see, they're coming forward with a very specific message for you, Taryn. It seems to me like there are times, the way they're showing, there are times where you seem to have, and if we think back to the way the reading was about allow your life to unfold, and we were talking about the permission thing. If we think about that, they're showing there's sometimes that you give yourself permission to be you, to step out and let yourself influence, because you're a very strong influential soul. You've got very, very powerful frequency within you. You are here to shift. Your words are very powerful. When you speak with conviction, when you speak from the heart, when you speak with purpose, your words carry a lot of light energy, and this influences people. And when your light shines that bright, people can't help but be moved. And it seems like there's certain times that you're giving yourself permission to do that, and there's other times where you turn it way down. So it's almost like there's a dimmer switch. If we think of like a light with a dimmer switch, they're asking you to pay attention to when have you got it turned up, and what is happening that's making you turn it down. Is it certain people in your life that when they're around you turn it down? Is it certain areas in your life that you think you must be more appropriate, or if you don't have permission, whatever it is? And those are areas to focus on and to notice that these when you dim yourself like that, you're robbing the world of a great gift. Because I promise you, my love, they show me like when you use your voice, it carries profound healing ability. And so you're a healer when you use your voice, and you can shift people's perspective. You can shift people's experience, and you can shift people's truth. And so notice when you are turning it up and when you're turning it down. Right. Perfect. So I hope that makes sense for you. Oh, good, Nell. I see that. All right. Where are we going now? Mariette Pretorius. Can I please have a message with green hearts? So anybody who knows me, you know purple hearts are my favorite hearts. So green hearts are what my dad always uses on his messages to me. So when I see green hearts, I think of my dad. So let us see, Mariette, what your guides would like to tell you tonight. A pleasure, Taryn. All right, so Mariette, embrace the messiness of life. Good, Taryn, I'm glad to hear that. Embrace the messiness of life. If you're online and you want a reading, just keep asking because I don't scroll back up. See. So Mariette, if we have a look at this card, you're going to see this really, really beautiful artist sort of canvas. It's like a palette of colors. And if we think of an artist, there's a process to art that is messy. You put all the colors in nice little boxes and do these things. You've got them all. And you can try and paint in very nice little straight lines and make it all beautiful. But at some point, you're going to have to mix up the colors, and it's going to drop. And when you do this, it's like there's almost these beautiful accidents that happen. And most artists will tell you that their best creations started from an accident, some sort of glorious accident. And so when we're too contained and we're trying to do things too perfectly, we can often miss out on the nuances and the beauty of things that we could create when we just allow it to be a little bit more exploratory. Your guides come forward and they're saying, if we're holding this permission structure that we were talking about earlier, about allowing your life to unfold, is allowing yourself to play more, to get a bit messy, to draw outside of the lines a little bit, to mix the colors you would not normally mix, and to finger paint if you wanted to, for lack of a better metaphor. And it's embracing that messiness as like this almost reconnection back to a part of your spirit that wants to play, and exploring that in many ways. So there you have it, Mariette. I hope that resonates for you. Right, let us see. I thought I saw somebody here. Oh, Joe, you are online. Are you still here, love? I think I saw you. Joe. Are you here, Joe? Let's see if you're still here. I say I don't scroll up, but I saw it and they caught my attention, so I wanted to see if you're still there. All right, Joe. Oh, I'm glad. There you go. First time listening message, please, from Joe. Yes, Joe. Ah, such a special person. Right, let us do a message for you, Joe. Okay. The card that's come up for you, Joe, is everything serves. Everything serves. So again, we see this from the acceptance. So a lot of cards coming forward from an acceptance perspective. And an acceptance perspective means, what do you need to embrace? What is it that you are resisting or fighting or rejecting that may well be serving something? So, the example is coming up, and I'm not sure it's a relevant example for what you're talking about, but or what you needed to hear, but they're giving me this example. One of my clients, or a friend of mine today, has phoned me about somebody in their life, and they've received feedback from somebody, but they're so busy rejecting the feedback that they can't hear any nuance of truth. And the very interesting thing is that in their rejection of it is the actual feedback that the person's giving them, is that the person won't hear what anybody has to tell them. And so this idea of, if I reject it, if I resist it, it'll go away, is something that's quite an interesting thing, because that serves too. The things we don't want to hear, the things we don't want to see, the experiences we don't want to explore, the people we don't want to interact with, they serve as well. And when we see this picture that comes up on this card, is we'll see all these puzzle pieces, and the puzzle pieces are being collected. And so when we notice that it's a bit of a puzzle, is that if we think of our great life as a puzzle, every piece serves. Every piece of pain serves, every piece of joy serves, every piece of, and a puzzle without a certain piece is not a complete puzzle. And so the way your guides come forward is it's just about paying a little bit of attention to anything you don't want to be paying attention to right now, is what could be on offer. And you may not see it now, and may not need to now, but everything in your life has served you coming to this point today, and a lot of it has been difficult, and a lot of it has been wonderful. And so what is it that you need to pay attention to? What is it that you don't want to look at that would be useful to pay attention to? That's what your guides are asking you tonight. I hope that makes sense, my love. It's not a big thing. It just feels like something that needs to be. All right. Let us see where we are. All right. Nita. I almost lost you there. Nita, please may I have a message, or may I have a message with little hearts. All right, Nita, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. Oh, it's a pleasure, Joe. I'm glad that it makes sense, my love. Sending you lots of love. Right, Nita, it's time to create the life you want to live. Oh, we got an artist palette again. There's only 2 artist palette cards, and we've got them both up tonight. So there's this definite creative energy. Remember, I was talking about the carnelian, and it was very much about creativity and its passion, its fire to do things. The way your guide comes forward, your female guide's one coming forward, and she says she wants to talk about the difference between reacting and creating for you. She says if we think of these 2 very important energies in action, one is a reaction and the other one's a creation. And when we embrace this, there's such a fine difference between reacting and creating. Fine difference. Because most of us think just, the reaction is like, something happens and we do something about it. Something happens, we do something about it. Yeah. The children miss the juice, we clean it up. Something goes wrong at work, we send an email, we sort it out, we do this, and we react. We go through life with this intention of reacting. This intention of fixing or responding or doing anything, and we end up in this reaction mode. And there's nothing wrong with this. The challenge is it doesn't actually end up being what you want to create. It can actually lead you astray, because if I react to some things, especially things that don't need me to react to them, and it's not a reaction necessarily emotionally, it can be a reaction around action. The reaction here is what you are taking action on. And sometimes there's things you're taking action on that are not yours to act on. There's no need for you to be acting on it. Whereas creation is a bit more intentional, and that's what we were talking about with that carnelian energy. Creation is sitting down looking and saying, what do I want to pay attention to? What do I want to act on? And sometimes we're in such autopilot that we're just reacting and we're busy doing things we don't need to be doing. So it was my daughter's 18th this weekend, and we had a big family function here. Everybody, the whole family came around on Saturday evening. And I'll be very honest, I did not have a good day on Saturday. And I was a little bit frustrated during the day. I felt very much like I was busy doing everything, and I felt a little bit frustrated with some things going on in my life. And, my ex-husband arrived with his girlfriend, and my ex-sister-in-law arrived, and my parents arrived pretty much at the same time. And I'd gone out early that day and bought ice, but as they were pouring drinks, I was aware, or somebody said to me, the ice is finished. And I was like, but I bought a whole lot of ice, but it had melted, as ice does. And before I knew it, I was in the car and I'd gone to buy more ice. It was just a sheer reaction. There were people in my house, I had guests, I did all these things, but I was just in my car and I was going to get ice. And so it wasn't smart. It's not something to be proud of, because it was just a sheer instinctive reaction. And so what happened there is what I ended up creating a lot of people very confused by what was going on for me. If I'd paused for a minute, I could have created an opportunity for support, which was what I was most looking for in the day. I could have asked, would anybody mind? There were other people on their way. I could have asked them to get it. And so the pause, that breath to create is really valuable, because then you can start creating the intimacy, creating the connections, creating the joy, creating the experience of our life. But often we're so busy reacting. And so the message that's coming forward for you is to pause, take a minute and choose. What do I want to do here? Is it something to do something about? Or is this something, and let's just do something else about? So come up with different ideas. There's a tendency for you to be in quite a strong reactive energy, they're saying. Yeah, so you have permission to create your life as opposed to react to your life. Yeah. All right. I hope that makes sense for you, my darling. Deanna Allen. Deanna Allen, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. All right, Deanna, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So if you would like a reading, just keep asking. Please feel free to share. And if you're not being called, just listen to other people's messages, because there's beautiful messages for everybody in the messages that come forward. All right, Deanna. Pleasure, Nita. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. Okay, Deanna. Sure. I don't know what's going on for you, but when your guides come forward with me, they show me you it's almost like you gagged. So if you imagine somebody that is, I suppose I could only think about it as kidnapped, where the tape is over their mouth and they gag, they're silent, mute. It's very strong energy, my love. So Deanna, I mean, it's almost like I can't speak. Your guides are like, they're showing me this energy of everything is mute, it's shut down. So even like my breath gets taken away, because there's this need to withhold. This seems to be in a pattern for a very long time. This seems to be something that you've learned to do when you were very young. That speaking up kind of got you in trouble, or created too much attention. And so you learn to swallow your words, swallow your truth, swallow. And now we end up just in a space where it's hard to even activate the need to speak. So there seems to be a lot of silence, which doesn't mean you aren't speaking, but it's not speaking from you. It's like, I call it hollow words. I'm not sure if that makes sense. I'm saying what needs to be said. I'll say the stuff to keep the peace. Your male guide in particular says that this is something that requires some healing. There's a very, the wounds run quite deep, he says, and it's not something that is a negative thing. It's something to be honored and offered support around. And he says that what he would really offer, if you're not doing it already, it doesn't seem to be, is to start journaling. So if we can't connect to our words through our voice, let's start connecting to our truth through our writing. And to do that, when we write, especially if we write handwritten, so not type, there's meridians that come from our heart, and it comes up into our throats and through our shoulders and down our arms. And when we write, we activate a dialogue with our hearts, and so we start to get a connection going. And the important part with writing in a journal is to not audit it, not censor it. You can write whatever you want. If you want to just swear, if you want to tell people what you think of them, whatever it is, you can write in there. And if it's stuff that you don't want somebody to find, you can burn it. Because it's not so important about keeping it, it's about expressing it. And it's about finding that connection back, that sort of space to find a connection back so that the words can start flowing between your heart and your throat again, and your handwriting can help. This is quite important because there's things that are needing to be said, they say. There are things, there are boundaries that need to be put in place. So I hope that resonates for you, my darling. I'm sending you a lot of love. There's so much healing energy being sent to you, to your throat area, to your throat chakra. I hope what they've said has made sense for you. All right, let us see. Monica Marana. Monica Marana, excuse me, I just want to pick up one of my cards, Phil, so let's just get that. Okay, there it is, Deanna. So that's what they were showing. There's real boundaries that needs to be put in place in some of your relationships. So absolutely, it's time to connect back. If you need any support, let me know. Sending you lots of love, darling. All right, Monica. Let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight. And I love all the purple hearts. See? Very impressive. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. My intention is to flood the world with purple hearts one day. You too, my darling. Sending you lots of love, Deanna. Monica, turn and face your future. Your past does not define you. Turn and face your future. Your past does not define you. When you have a look at this card, it's really quite a, I mean, it's a card in the expansion suit. So it's all about expanding in your life, and expansion is all about movement and momentum and embracing life and really engaging, I think is the word they want to give. And when you have a look at this card, you can see there's this beautiful, possibility. There's with this water, and we've got these mountains, there's this road, and we assume the road goes round. But then we've got this tiny little mirror that shows where you've come from. And if you imagine driving along and all you ever did was look in this mirror, you would miss out on all of this sort of perspective. You'd miss out on the possibility. And this is what happens when we tend to focus on a lot of our life from the past. We keep fearing recreating it, or even it was better, and so we want to go backwards. You can't go backwards either way. And so when we have this little mirror for our life in the past, we can get the wisdom from it. It's a perspective. And remember, if you didn't see the opening message, the weekly message for everybody, the third card, which was about opportunity this week, was about perspective. And in your case, it's very much about this perspective of possibility. What's available? What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? These are important questions, not what you're trying to avoid. What do you need to get away from? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Right, so I hope that makes sense. Oh my God, wow, she's so good. Wendy Brooks, how are you, my love? Let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight, Wendy. All right, some beautiful messages coming forward. All right, Wendy. Let's see what your guides would like to tell you. All right, Wendy. Let your heart overflow with kindness. And this is from the love suit in the card deck. Let your heart overflow with kindness. So your guides come with and say this is a surprising card for you to get. That you're looking at this and you're like, I thought I'm doing this. I'm like, I really do this. So like, what's the message in this? Why am I getting this sort of card? And there'll be a part of you that that almost thinks like this is a sense of like, that you're doing it wrong. But that's not true. So the way that this comes forward is they're saying it's pointless demonstrating kindness to the outside world if that kindness is not being given to the inside world. And so there's some parts of you that are scared, and there's some parts of you that are doubtful, and there's some part of you that, maybe insecure, and there may be some parts of you that, and you, if it was somebody inside of you, you'd be very kind, you'd be very compassionate, you'd be very supportive to them. But when it's inside of you, you're far harder, far more critical. And if we go back to the cards for the weekly message, we had the fire the critic card. And so when we fire the critic, we can replace it with a kind voice. What's the scared part of you need to hear? What would be the most loving and gentle and compassionate thing you can tell yourself right now that would support you? So this is really, it's about noticing that voice in your mind and how you can be kinder to yourself. Yeah, not to the outside world. You're really doing that great. But start within, because that's where the true changes will happen. Yeah. All right. So I'm so glad, Bernadette, that you are resonating with them all. Monica, thank you so much. That's exactly what's coming up for you. Oh, I'm so glad, my darling. Lana Louise can really relate with these messages. Thank you for doing this every week. I'm glad you like it. Perfect. I will do more of that. Right. So who still wants a message? The next person to ask will get one. So let me see who comes up. Let's see. Who wants a message still? Let's see who comes up. Yeah. Are we done for the night? Have you all received the messages you need? You guys are clever. Oh, there we go. Andy. All right. Okay, and then Vanessa. Andy, let us see. Pleasure, Wendy. All right, Andy.